What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and today I'm coming at you with my full card breakdown for UFC 322, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. Now, this is one of the most anticipated, one of the most hyped up cards of the entire year, and for good reason. You know, this card's stacked from top to bottom with banger of fights. There's a ton to go over, ton of high-level fights, ton of fun scraps on this card. It's going to be one of the best cards, if not the best card of the entire year. I'm super excited for it. There is a lot to break down on this entire event, so there's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to go over. I'm going to break these fights down a little bit differently than normal, too. We're going to go over a ton of recent fights from both fighters, men and women, girls and guys. We're going to go over the recent fights. You know, we're going to really try and pick up on different things, different strengths, different weaknesses, and different things that I wanted to make you guys aware of so you can make better picks this weekend. It's going to be a lot, but we're going to try and go through it pretty quick. But this video is going to be a little bit longer than normal because we're going really far into detail. We're going super far in depth. I mean, we're going to go over everything you guys need to know for this entire event. So sit down, get some popcorn, get something to drink, relax, and let's talk about these fights. Now, first up, we got Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. We got Islam Makhachev stepping up to 170 pounds for the first time. It is going to be a banger of a fight. I'm super excited. Will the weight jump be too much for Islam? Will he be able to hang against Jack Della Maddalena, the true 170-pounder? We will have to see. I'm super excited for this fight. So how we're going to do some of these breakdowns is we're going to break these guys down on the recent fights, kind of point out the pros, the cons for both, and that can help us come up with our decisions to say who we think is going to win each fight. So first up, we'll go with our boy Jack Della Maddalena. Now, with Jack Della Maddalena in his recent fights, his first fight, or his most recent fight against Belal Muhammad when he gets the belt. Now, this was an interesting fight to me. This picture is from round 4, starting a little bit later. The reason I do that, when Belal Muhammad went into this fight, he kind of broke with the media in his head and the people in his head, and people were telling him that, oh, you're a boring fighter, Belal. You're just a trained wrestler. You know, you don't make your fights entertaining. You're not a fun fighter to watch. And that kind of got in his head. You can see in this fight too, the first 3 rounds, he really doesn't wrestle all that much. You know, he wants to keep it on the feet. He almost wants to prove to himself or the crowd that, hey, I can stand and trade. I can stand and box with this guy too. You know, I'm not just a one-dimensional fighter. It really felt like all the hype and the crowd noise, not like the actual crowd, but I mean like the public online, they were all getting in his ear, and he really kind of broke under the pressure too. Not like he broke under the pressure, but in the sense of he changed his game plan up. You know, he really wanted to stand and strike more than he probably should have, especially against a guy like Jack Della Maddalena. It's not to say that Belal Muhammad can't strike. It's just against a guy like JDM, that's just such a terrible game plan to have going into this fight. So these first 3 rounds were predominantly striking. Jack Della Maddalena looked great. He won the first couple rounds. Then Belal Muhammad really started to ramp it up in the 4th and the 5th round. This is when he actually got into his game plan. This is when he really fought the way he should have fought the entire time. It is what it is, though. But anyway, this is why I start here at the 4th round. This, you can see Belal Muhammad really starts to have some grappling success with the wrestling early, or later on into this fight. Round 4 is really when he starts to take over, and he was dominant all throughout the round against JDM. You can see in this 4th round, even with a minute left, you know, Belal Muhammad, good cardio. He's landed a nice, or this is, I believe he didn't actually get this one. He got really deep into this takedown. I believe, yeah, but you can see just a bit of JDM's really good takedown defense. You can see even in the last minute of the 4th round of this fight, you know, both these guys got to be tired. You can see Belal Muhammad got pretty far deep into this takedown. Still couldn't get it, though. You know, JDM was able to sprawl pretty well. And we know about this. You know, it just goes to show JDM does have the cardio to hang. He can go all 5 rounds, rather. So I'm not too worried about him in the sense of the cardio. But I will say, though, Belal really did start to ramp up the wrestling and the grappling later on, the rounds 4 and 5. You can see this was the end of the 4th round, about 40 seconds left. Belal was hugging him against the cage. Now, 5th round starts. He starts to really kind of walk JDM down a little bit. It was kind of funny into the 5th round. You could see JDM is slowing down a little bit. But at this point, I don't really blame him all that much. He was ahead in this fight at this point. So you could, it would make sense why he was taking a bit off of the gas tank. But anyway, in the 5th round, we could see Belal Muhammad really started to have quite a bit of success against JDM in the grappling. He got these takedowns a lot easier. You know, JDM's cardio really started to slow down quite a bit. The takedown defense was not quite the same. And in this round, Belal Muhammad was dominating in the grappling, in the wrestling later on as this fight started to continue. In the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, Belal Muhammad really only started to wrestle heavy in the 4th and 5th rounds of this fight. Who's to say Islam Makhachev's not going to do the same thing? Or we'll talk about this one in a second. But who's to say Islam Makhachev's not going to do the exact same thing? You know, Islam Makhachev is not a guy who's going to try to appease the fans. He's a guy who's going to try to win by any means necessary. And you can see Muhammad's last 5 takedown attempts. He attempted one in the 2nd round in a minute 21. After that, he waited until the 4th round. It just goes to show he wasn't really fighting a good game plan until the 4th and the 5th rounds, and that's when he won those rounds. So if Belal Muhammad would have fought a smarter game plan earlier, who knows? He might have won this fight if he just had a better game plan, because he obviously had a ton of success in the 4th and the 5th round. This fight was just a bit of a tricky one. People look at who won and who lost and just kind of write it off at that, but Belal Muhammad really, he let people get in his head. He didn't fight the way he should have, and as a result, he lost the fight. But anyway, we can look up JDM's next fight. Gilbert Burns. And not all these, they're not going to go in order. I kind of jump around in some of these, so some of them will be in order, some of them won't. But anyway, next up, we got against Gilbert Burns. Now, Gilbert Burns also had some success in the grappling. We could see in 3:58 in the first round, Gilbert Burns has already gotten to Jack Della Maddalena's back. Not a good look as this fight progresses. 3:41 in the first round. He's holding him against the cage. He's having success in the wrestling and the grappling. Lands a takedown 10 seconds up in the first round. Gilbert Burns was having quite a bit of success in the grappling against Jack Della Maddalena because he wasn't fighting a Belal Muhammad game plan of coming out early and striking. No, Gilbert Burns stuck to the smart game plan and he was grappling the whole time. Had a ton of success in round 1. On the scorecards, he takes the first round, wins the first round. JDM loses the first round. Second round comes around, bit of the same thing. You can see 3:42 on the scorecard on the clock. You can see Gilbert Burns back to the ground, wrestling again, beating JDM on the ground yet again. Only a minute into the second round. You can see it basically goes throughout the whole round. I mean, there are moments where Jack Della Maddalena can get back out and it gets a bit scrappy, but Gilbert Burns is having success throughout the first 10 minutes pretty clearly in the grappling. He wins the first 2 rounds on the scorecards. Now, this is the very end of the second round as well. 21 seconds left on the clock. Backpacking JDM on the ground. Not a good look. This is the third round comes around. Gilbert Burns is having even more success. He's doing the same thing over and over and over, and JDM really doesn't have a good answer to it. He has no real solution to this problem. Now he gets to just about halfway through this third round, we can see Gilbert Burns on his back, backpacking, dominating in the grappling. We can see he's having success. Halfway through, there's less than 2 minutes left. JDM is losing this fight. He's losing this entire fight. He's losing. Gets towards the end. You can even see, I had the scorecards in here. JDM would have lost this fight if it went to the scorecards. He would have lost to Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns would have beaten him. I feel like people forget about that. Like it didn't happen. It did happen. I mean, he got saved. Yes, he got that. He got the last second knockout. He would have lost that fight, though. He got very lucky that he got that last second knockout. Otherwise, his record would be quite different. But anyway, against Kevin Holland. Now, this is just a back-and-forth striking match. He won a split decision. However, you can see from the record, he got outstruck by Kevin Holland. Not the best look either, I will say. Then after that, we have Basel Hafez. Basel Hafez, not even 5 seconds into the damn fight, he's shooting a takedown. Gets a takedown. I mean, he's grappling. He had a ton of success in the grappling early on, as you can see, right to the back. 1 minute into the first round. Not a good look. Throughout this fight, having success in the grappling. More success. I mean, he is getting dominated by Basel Hafez in the grappling. Not a good look. Next round starts. Getting dominated again. Now, this is where Basel Hafez, his cardio is just completely dust. Now, JDM does have some good moments where he is able to reverse positions a bit. He does have some moments of success. There was one moment that was pretty dumb here. He ends up shooting a guillotine, I believe. He jumps a gilly, and he ends up getting reversed, I believe. Yep, so now through poor grappling, through poor fight IQ, through poor decision making, he lets Basel Hafez basically back into this round, lets him to get on top of him, and from there, he's basically screwed. I mean, he lets Basel Hafez just rest on top of him for the whole damn round, ends the round in the exact same position. He's not looking good throughout these first 2 rounds. Now, Basel Hafez completely death gas. Third round comes around. Now, he tries to get the single leg takedown on JDM. I believe he ends up getting reversed in this position because this is a little bit further down. Yeah, 4 minutes in the third round versus a minute and 30 seconds left in the third round. So, JDM does have some success on the grappling here, as you can see, but this one, Basel Hafez is really just completely toast. He's burnt. He has nothing left. So, this was a very tricky fight. I mean, you can see minute 17 left. He has some success. He's on his back, but then he gets reversed. Minute left in the fight. Basel Hafez somehow gets back on top. Just not a good look. We've seen throughout JDM's recent fights, the grappling has not been great. It's not been great. The one time people give him more credit for that Belal Muhammad fight when Belal really wasn't doing all that much in the first 3 rounds. But anyway, next up we got Islam Makhachev. Now, Islam Makhachev versus Renato Moicano. We all know how this one went. I just put this in here. I thought it was interesting. Renato Moicano 7-1 as an underdog in the UFC. Pretty crazy. Obviously now he lost that one too. But anyway, he did have success against Islam. You know, we could see Islam got cracked early on in this fight. So, goes to show. Who knows? JDM could crack him as well. We've seen Islam hurt multiple times throughout his fights. Makes sense. But this one really did surprise me. I remember watching this one live. I was like, oh shit, he got cracked. Now, he ended up getting back. Islam was able to survive through the grappling, looked fine, ended up dominating, got McConico out of there. Now, McConico was a short notice step up. I don't really put a whole lot of weight on this one, so I can't really put a whole lot on it. But I will say, the thing that was very interesting is that throughout this point, right, at this moment in the fight, McConico was able to actually kick Islam Makhachev off of him, and it was pretty interesting. McConico was trying to get back to his feet, and he kicks him out. You can see on the clock, 1 minute and 5 seconds in the first round. Next slide, 1 minute and 4 seconds. By the time he kicks him off, 1 second pass, Islam pounces right on McConico. I mean, the way that this man moves is so damn fast on the ground. Literally, this is a 1 second break. Another second break. I mean, from 105 of being kicked off by McConico to 103, he's on the neck. This man is a demon on the ground. He is insanely fast. And McConico's a high-level grappler. It's not like McConico's just some bum who doesn't know how to grapple. No, McConico's a very good grappler. That's all it took. By this point, he's tapping. I mean, literally within 10 seconds. From here, where he's getting kicked off, to him tapping is less than 10 seconds. Crazy work. Just to go show how dangerous Makhachev is on the ground. And I think if JDM makes one small mistake, that could be all that she wrote in terms of this fight. But anyway, next up, we got Dustin Poirier. We know how this one went. You know, back and forth. Islam was able to have a lot of success against the cage early on, landing takedowns at will, controlling Dustin, getting and backpacking him in the first round. Absolutely insane. Second round starts. Islam, boom, shooting takedowns off the bat. I mean, he was going for him. Dustin was able to get out of this one. You can see, too, Islam's not afraid to shoot from range. I mean, this was the most telegraphed takedown attempt I've ever seen in my life. 3 minutes 44 on the clock in the second round, but he's able to get onto a leg. I don't know why I put this in here. Able to get onto a leg, 343. Maybe, what was I thinking? What did I want to put in here? What did I say for Islam? Oh yeah, this is what I want to say too. He actually outstruck Poirier in this round, 26-24 in significant strikes. I didn't have the label on here. I don't know why I didn't show the label on here. I must not have been thinking, but you can see the 24 out of 46, 24 out of 58. That's for significant strikes. I believe that's what I wanted to say in here about this second round, which goes to show, you know, Islam Makhachev isn't like a fish out of water on the feet in the striking. Yeah, JDM might be the better striker, but we can see he outstruck Dustin Poirier in the second round. Goes to show. The man can strike too. Don't underestimate it. But anyway, next up in the second round, end of it, ends on top. Third round comes around. Excuse me. Islam's back on top. He's back dominated. I mean, he just cannot get this guy off. Dustin couldn't get this guy off of him. Halfway through the third round, or not quite, 3:28 in the third round, completely backpacking Dustin. Dustin Poirier is elite, and he was just getting absolutely worked in the grappling. He had no real solution. Even when Islam can't land takedowns, he's comfortable just holding you against the cage, working you throughout the whole 5 rounds. He doesn't stop. He doesn't slow down hardly at all. Dustin was able to have some success in the exchanges. He was having some scrambling success throughout the fourth round, but it just goes on. Now, this was a good moment I wanted to say for JDM fans, if you really like him. Now, against the clinch, in the clinch, I could see JDM having some success landing some big body shots. Dustin Poirier was able to do the exact same against Islam. Big body shots in the clinch that really did hurt Islam. I could see JDM doing this exact same thing here. That's something I wanted to point out. Dustin did have some success, but it just didn't last for very long. It was just a matter of seconds. He gets reversed. Islam's back, controlling him against the cage like it was nothing. I had this screenshot in here. You can see it's so funny. Dustin's looking back and actually talking to the commentators. You can see John Anik and Joe Rogan. Oh my goodness. He's literally talking to them throughout the middle of this fight. If you guys never noticed that or never realized that, this is where that's from. Pretty dope. Cool moment, but yeah. Just goes to show Islam still controlling him against the cage, though. Fifth round starts, more of the same. All it takes is Dustin Poirier to mess up for 1 second. He makes one mistake, boom, comes right in. Islam Makhachev, I believe he wrapped up a Dariush here, and he gets him out of there extremely quick. That's all it took. But next up, we got Islam versus Alexander Volkanovski. Second one, the head kick. We're not really going to go over that. The first fight, though, this was a bit more interesting. You know, this is, I think, if people are taking JDM this week, this is where you could argue a bit more for JDM. Now, you could see in this grappling, it was back and forth. There were a lot of moments where Volk had success and Makhachev had success. Like, it was back and forth, especially in the clinch. They were both working each other. We could see throughout the second round. I mean, Volk was able to have some good reversals. Now, Volk was able to land some of the cage control of his own in terms of the clinch, holding Islam against the cage. Volk is a smaller guy, too. We'll talk about this more at the end. But Volk was having some success. He even hurt him in the third round. I mean, he had Islam running, and that's Volk, too. Volk was stepping up a weight class for this fight. So it just goes to show Islam's not unbeatable. It's not like you can't hurt the guy. He has vulnerabilities just like anyone else. He's human, and Volk was able to exploit those. It's just in the grappling, this man is different. Fourth round comes around, Makhachev backpacking like it's nothing. He was having a ton of success in the grappling, and Volk is an extremely high-level grappler. I mean, Volk's high-level everywhere, but it just goes to show if Makhachev's able to dominate him, I believe he should be able to dominate JDM too. Now, the weight discrepancy, we're going to talk about this some more, but yeah, I get why people are saying the weight difference is quite huge in terms of these examples. You got JDM on one side, you got Volk on the other. I totally get it, but still, fourth round, Makhachev dominates in the grappling. He just doesn't slow down. He can push the grappling pace for all 5 rounds, and we've seen JDM struggle later in the rounds with the grappling. I think Makhachev can likely do the same. Now, 5th round comes around. Volk hurts Islam. We've seen Islam hurt multiple times in his fights. It happens, and it's a real possibility. And I'm not saying JDM can't hurt him, because he definitely could. And at that point, he could secure the round on the scorecards if he rocks Islam. Definitely could happen. Volk had this big moment, knocks him down. As you can see, this is where I want to talk about it, though. So, yeah, that was the last slide for this one. The size difference is crazy, though. Volk had a ton of success, and he had a lot of success. It was closer than people thought it was, and you can see the weight size difference, though. Volk is not a natural lightweight. He's a natural featherweight that's stepping up, and you can see that's a lot different, you know. Islam's fighting where he should be in this fight. He was fighting that lightweight. Now him stepping up to welterweight is going to be a real difference, you know. If the weight level between these two was a lot more similar, and like more natural, rather, this fight could have played out a lot differently. So, it's just something I had to point out is like the size difference between these two, pretty substantial. And it did stand out to me in the sense of it's not going to be the same way against JDM. That's for damn sure. But anyway, that does it for this one. Now, in terms of the fight recap, in terms of where I'm standing at between these two, though, I am leaning towards Islam Makhachev. I just think there's been too many signs that we've seen from JDM where he's really struggled with the grappling and he hasn't been able to have a ton of success. Yes, I know he's training with guys like Craig Jones now and he's getting a lot of high-level grappling in, and his grappling has improved quite a bit in recent years. You know, it's definitely gone a hell of a lot. It's gone a hell of a lot better in recent years compared to earlier in his career. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to beat a guy like Islam Makhachev. I get the whole concern of Islam stepping up, going up a weight class. That is a very valid concern, and we'll have to see how he looks in terms of the scales and how he weighs in. I'm just leaning Islam. I think he should be able to control it on the ground. I think his striking's got a lot better as well. You know, it's like JDM's improved his grappling. Islam's also improved his striking throughout the years. So I think this is going to be a very competitive match. I just think Islam's probably going to be able to get it done on scorecards. I think the grappling's going to be too much for JDM. And unless JDM can hurt Islam, that's a real possibility. We'll have to see how Islam can deal with the 170-pound weight class. I mean, it's going to be, there's some unknowns in this spot. I just think JDM is a bit overrated. I'm not going to lie. I feel like him getting to the belt is not saying it's luck or a coincidence. I just think he had a more favorable path to the belt than a guy like Islam Makhachev, who's just smoking the best of the best. I mean, Oliveira. I mean, we've seen him beat Volk. We've seen him beat Poirier. I mean, he's beating everyone, and no one's really giving him any problems. So it just goes to show how dominant he is. And you look at JDM as his best wins. Belal really wasn't even implementing a good game plan until the 4th and the 5th rounds. He's going to split decisions with guys like Basel Hafez. And even Gilbert Burns was whooping his ass on the ground in the grappling until he got that late finish. He got lucky. If he can't do that against a guy like Islam Makhachev, which I'm not entirely sure that he can, I don't see him winning the fight. So I think this line is pretty fair, honestly. I think Islam Makhachev should be the favorite, and I think he likely wins this fight. However, JDM could hurt Islam. We've seen Islam knocked out before. We've seen him cracked before. A real 170 guy going against Islam who's been fighting weight class lower his entire life. It'll be interesting to see how this turns out, but I gotta lean Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev's got to be the pick. I think he gets it done. I think it's going to be an interesting one. The last thing I want to say about this too. I saw this interesting post from Home of Fight on Instagram. I wanted to put it in here for you guys. They were saying there has never been a lightweight champion who moved up to welterweight division and won a title there. With Islam moving up to 170 pounds, it's worth revealing how other lightweight champions performed in the division. Read this if you want. But it's pretty interesting that no one's ever actually been the lightweight champion, moved up to welterweight, and actually won the title. It has never happened before. You can look at guys like RDA, McGregor, Pettis, Benson Henderson, BJ Penn. You can see it just never happened like this. I believe BJ Penn was actually a champion at 170 pounds, however, at 170 pounds. However, he won the welterweight belt before claiming the lightweight one, though he moved up from 155. So it's kind of like, that's the only little exception there. But very interesting that this never happened before. So statistically, is Islam that guy to break the barrier and push the levels of the sport? Who knows? I think he definitely could be. So The pick's got to be Islam Makhachev, but I think it's going to be a very close fight. It's going to be very competitive. And I think either guy can win this, but yeah, I just think Islam ever so slightly should get the job done. But next up, we got Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. Is it Zhang Weili or is it Weili Zhang? I don't know which way. I look, every website has her differently. Some it's Weili Zhang, some it's Zhang Weili. I always call her Weili, so I assume it's her last name. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, regardless of the point, we got Zhang Weili stepping up a weight class to take Valentina Shevchenko on for the flyweight title, for the belt, for all the marbles. This is going to be a banger of a fight. I'm super excited for this one. It's going to be a banger. It's going to be super fun. Similar to the last fight, we're going to break down some of these recent fights between these girls, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons. We're going to try and figure this one out a little bit better. So, first up, we got Valentina Shevchenko. Let's go over some of her recent fights. First up against Manon Fiorot. I think this is the hardest type of a challenge she could have possibly had in this entire weight class, and she looked damn good. Now, early on, we could see pretty crazy. Valentina Shevchenko, 3-0 as a UFC underdog. She was an underdog in this fight against Weili. I know the line has flipped a little bit now. What is she at? -130. I had to adjust this because earlier she was an underdog. I went and flipped this line earlier or last night because it flipped. She wasn't the favorite at first, but anyway, I put this in here. 3-0 as a UFC underdog. But anyway, this fight starts. Look at the size difference here. I mean, Fiorot she's a mammoth. She is a huge specimen. So to see her beat this challenge in front of her, a specimen like Manon Fiorot, I genuinely think this was the hardest match she could have possibly had. She passed the test, so I do have a bit of confidence in her. But anyway, earlier on in the first round, or a little bit past halfway point, minute 46 left in the first round, you can see Shevchenko clips Manon Fiorot. Actually, this was a little bit later. After it happened, you can just see in the bottom left corner, the replay, you can see the shot that really cracked her. It hurt Manon Fiorot. It broke, or not broke, but it busted her nose open. She was struggling with it. She did pretty well. I would say Shevchenko was looking really good in the striking early on. She was winning exchanges, clipped Manon Fiorot with the harder landing shots. So she was looking really good early on. Halfway through the first round. Now, this is where Manon Fiorot goes to land a kick. Shevchenko catches this kick. Boom. Takes it right into a takedown. You can see the face, too. This is after she got busted up with the nose and everything. Shevchenko clearly wins this first round, looks pretty dominant, lands the harder shots, is able to land a nice takedown, and no one's able to take down Manon Fiorot. Absolutely no one. So the fact that Shevchenko was able to do this, yes, it was off of a kick, but still very impressive. She was able to land this takedown off of that kick, dominates throughout the first round. Second round comes through, Shevchenko comes in for this takedown attempt. Manon Fiorot was able to have some success. She was able to stop this one. It just goes to show how well Manon Fiorot is able to sprawl and how good her takedown defense is. But Shevchenko is shooting for takedowns. This is more something we've seen later on in her career. But yeah, you can see Manon Fiorot is having some success in the grappling in the second round. A bit of a back and forth in terms of the scrambling and the grappling. It was a back and forth round. And third round comes around halfway through it. There's a lot of back and forth clinch battle going on in this fight. And it gets a girl like Manon Fiorot, who's the largest, most big mammoth of a woman. It was impressive to see Shevchenko really be extremely competitive in the grappling, especially against the cage like this. The clinch battle between the two of them. Manon Fiorot is huge, so it was impressive to me. Although Manon Fiorot did have quite a bit of success, she was having good moments throughout this round and throughout all of the entire fight. It just wasn't enough to quite get it done because she wasn't doing enough damage during this point. Now, fourth round comes, she's doing the exact same thing, holding her against the cage. However, Shevchenko was able to land a nice takedown towards the end of the round. A minute left in the fourth round. Had some good moments from her. And again, no one's taking down Manon Fiorot. Absolutely no one. So the fact that Shevchenko was able to do it twice, very impressive throughout this fight. We can see on the feet too. Fourth round, Valentina Shevchenko gets a knockdown. Big moment. Drops her ass. Last couple seconds of the round, definitely secures the round for Shevchenko. Great look. No one's hurting Fiorot like that. No one is. So to see Shevchenko really put her in a tricky spot like that, Shevchenko's able to take her down, able to knock her down, busted her nose up in the first round. Shevchenko looked great in this fight. Now, fifth round comes around. Manon Fiorot's doing some of the same shit, bodying her up against the cage like she was been doing against the fence. Now, the thing is, though, is that she's not really landing a whole lot of damage, and there's a lot of reversals through this. I don't show the reversals. Even though Manon Fiorot is just so big, she does win a lot of it against the cage. Shevchenko has her own success. That was my last one there. But Shevchenko ends up winning the fight, obviously, as we know. So it just goes to show, even when she's getting physically outdone a bit by girls that are just huge, she's able to still have success through the striking, through landing takedowns. She's that versatile of a fighter. She's just that highly skilled that even being at the size disadvantage, because everyone's going to be at a disadvantage against Manon Fiorot, her technical skill was still enough to get the job done. And I think Manon Fiorot is the hardest challenge for her. So to see her do that well, extremely impressive. Now, Next up, we got her fight against Alexa Grasso, the third fight that they had. Now, in the first round, this was just a one-sided ass-kicking. Shevchenko made Alexa Grasso look like she didn't know how to grapple. And Alexa Grasso is a grappler. Now, this was the most recent fight that they had between the 3 matches. Absolutely dominated. First round, lands a takedown, controls her, gets to her back. 1 second left in the first round, dominates. Second round, boom, takedown immediately. Alexa Grasso, there were some moments, Alexa Grasso did have some submission attempts of her own. They just weren't enough to do anything. Shevchenko was able to just control her on top, and this is where Alexa Grasso would be shooting for these, or going for these damn submissions, but she wasn't able to land them like she did in the first or the second fight. The first, when she got the submission over Shevchenko, she wasn't able to get it though. And at that point, she's giving up the rounds because Shevchenko is on top of her. So she's the one being controlled the entire round. She can't get the submission. She's losing the rounds. Third round comes around. You can see Shevchenko's turning into Marab out here. She's landing takedowns. This is a really sneaky takedown too. You can see Alexa Grasso thinks she's about to get punched in the face. She has a high guard up. Boom. Shevchenko bolts right in for the takedown. Gets it with ease. Boom. She is just dominating. Third round, controlling her on top, going to half guard. Crazy work. I mean, she's cooking. You could see Grasso does have some good sprawling in the fourth round. You could see, but still, Shevchenko able to get in there, make it gritty. Now, this is another moment where Grasso had a close. She's going for a guillotine. She had a moment. Nothing was really able to come from it, and at the same time, it allowed Shevchenko to basically, the second she popped her head out, now she's on top. She's the one controlling Alexa Grasso. She even had some good submission attempts of her own. So it just goes to show Shevchenko, her grappling is just looking career best. Even at later stage of her career, it's looking amazing. Now, even against the cage, in the clinch, getting now nasty. Now, both girls are having some success. I believe she gets reversed here. I believe 313, 3-8. Yeah, I believe she gets a nice little reversal here. You can see, ends up getting on top. 3 minutes left in the fifth round. Able to control her, a minute left in the fight. She's just cooking her way through this. I mean, she absolutely dominated, ends the fight on top and side control. I mean, Alexa Grasso got absolutely destroyed in this fight. I mean, it was not even remotely close. She had like 2 submission attempts. That was it. Shevchenko cooked her ass. And it just goes to show, like, Shevchenko is still getting better and better and better. This is not how the first and second fights turned out. So, impressive work from Shevchenko. It just goes to show she is still getting better. Even at, 36, 37? She's still getting better. But we got Weili up next. Some of her recent fights. We got against Tatiana Suarez. This was a tricky one. You could see Tatiana Suarez in the first round. Tatiana Suarez was having a ton of success. She was able to take Weili down. Now, Weili did have some good moments of she was able to kind of reverse it at times. But early on, Weili pops back up. Or this is the second round. Second round. Comes around, Weili is getting, she's getting better in terms of her defensive grappling in the second and third. The longer this fight goes on, the less and less success Suarez has in this fight. She is able to land reversals of her own. And we can see, Zhang does have some good moments of success. She was able to hold her own. Even when Suarez is holding her against the cage halfway through the second round, she's still able to hold her own in there. We can see Suarez's takedowns were, some of these were shot from like a mile away. Not the best. This was the most choreographed takedown you could possibly have, or choreographed, the most telegraphed takedown you could possibly have. Not a good look. And as a result, she didn't have a ton of success. She was able to hold Zhang against the cage, or Weili against the cage, but it's just she wasn't able to do a whole lot. We saw Weili was able to land some nice trips. She had some nice reversals of her own. She was dominating on the end, towards the end of the second round on the ground as well, too. So it goes to show Weili is no fish out of water in terms of the grappling. Second round comes around, or third round comes around halfway through. You can see she's just shooting these takedowns from a mile away. They're just absolutely horrible. You could see Weili's just throwing her off, like, get out of here. They were just terrible. They were god-awful takedown attempts. So it's a bit of both. On one hand, you could say Weili, her takedown defense was looking really good, which it was. But on the other hand, Suarez's takedowns were just absolute piss. They were terrible. So it's a bit of back and forth. You can see the fourth round comes around. Weili starts to really ramp it up even in this point. Suarez is completely death-gassed. Her cardio is terrible. In a 3-round fight, Suarez looks really good. In 5, no bueno. We could see Weili Zhang. She was able to get fourth round, very end of the fight, or at very end of the fourth round, dominating on top. We could see fifth round comes around. Suarez has his takedown, looks really good. Look at the sprawl in this. Weili sprawling. Woo, very, very good work from her. So it just goes to show, Weili has improved quite a bit in the grappling, in the scrambles. You can see she has a good sprawling. Looks pretty damn good. Suarez is able to hold her against the cage for a little bit in this fifth round, but just not able to do a whole lot. This was really interesting though. Suarez goes for this trip. If you were to see this, you would think she lands it. She doesn't. She somehow gets out of it. Weili is able to prevent this. She jumps right out of it. Her balance was great off one foot. You can see. Doesn't get it. Pretty crazy. Just goes to show Weili was cooking. Even towards the end of this 5th round, Suarez was just completely death gas. She had nothing left. I will say about this fight, though. I will say, before we go there, I'm pretty sure Suarez was injured going into this fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I was watching an interview of Suarez where she was talking like, oh, I was just so excited for the title shot. I know I wasn't ready, but I just couldn't say no. You know, I couldn't let myself turn this one down. So I'm pretty sure she was hurt going into that fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there was some injury. There was some underlying something, you know, maybe she had, I forget what she had, but there was something that was going on with her before this fight that I wanted to make sure we talked about, because that was an outlier in this fight that I do remember. But anyway, next up, our fight versus Yan Xiaonan. This was a crazy one. You know, halfway through the first round, Weili is cooking, or Yan's cooking on top. You can see Yan she landed a takedown pretty early on, had some success in the grappling. Crazy work, though. Weili lands a crazy throw. You can see, absolutely insane. This was the craziest part of the entire fight, though, in case you guys forgot. Oh, my goodness. Weili has this choke in. Yan passes out. She completely goes out cold. Somehow she gets saved by the bell and then like wakes back up. They don't call it off. Herzog's roughing. You know how it goes. The fight doesn't get called off. They bring her to the stool. The corner man, or not the corner man, not the medical, whatever the guy, the cut man. He goes, you want me to wake her up? And the coach is like, I think it's your favorite. He's like, yeah. And he goes and like puts some shit in her nose. You can see, like, I don't know if he was like smelling salts, a little coke, or I don't know what they gave her. But it woke her ass back up. And they ended up going all 5. Now we can see at one point too, Yan hurts Weili. Drops her ass on the ground. Pretty crazy. Halfway through the 3rd round, or a minute into the 3rd round, you can see, puts Weili on her ass. We've seen Weili hurt before. Maybe Shevchenko could do it again. We could see, boom, clipped her ass again. 2 minutes left in this 3rd round. Yan was kind of having some moments here. Looking pretty good. Even in the grappling, she had moments of her own. She was looking pretty damn good. Even here, you can see a nice little trip. He catches a kick. You can see this one lands. You know, Suarez wasn't able to do it, but Yan was able to. Puts her on her ass. It's just Weili is better on the ground. She's able to reverse her. A minute left. Or wait, oh, shit, no, sorry. This was later on. This was a minute left in the 3rd round. Able to trip, get her on top. I forget what happens at the end of the 3rd round. In the 4th round, though, we could see Weili was really just dominating in the grappling. This is halfway, or 1 minute left in the 4th round. So Weili was just a step ahead in the grappling. We kind of knew that, though. Weili came into this fight as a huge favorite for a reason. She's just more well-rounded than Yan is. So this was in the 5th round. Weili's going for more takedowns, which shows us, you know, Weili can really keep a pace. She can grapple. She can go all 5 rounds for sure. And she ended the round looking pretty damn good. So does it for this one. In terms of who I'm picking, I'm going Valentina Shevchenko. I just think she should be able to get the job done. You know, I like the fact that she's the natural flyweight. We got Weili who's stepping up. And I just think Shevchenko has proven against higher level opponents that she can really hang. Like, I don't know. I respect the losses, or I mean the wins of a Furo in the Alexa Grasso 3. That holds a lot more weight in my mind than Zhang Weili beating Suarez, who's injured and has been injury prone her entire career. No cardio. She's not made for 5-rounders. And at the same time, she beat Yan, who she looked really good, but Yan was hurting her at times. She was clipping her on the feet. She even had success in the grappling. I think Shevchenko is just the GOAT. I mean, I think she's on the Mount Rushmore of ladies MMA fighting. I mean, she's like proven herself as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. If she beats Weili here, there are going to be some conversations to be had. But I just think Shevchenko, 37 years old, she still got it. And Weili's 36, so it's not like either of these girls are over the hill. They're probably right about at that point. You know, maybe a couple more years. But still, I still think Shevchenko is just the most complete, well-rounded fighter. And I think she's just a step ahead of Weili. She should be able to dominate. Or not dominate, but I think she should be able to win the grappling exchanges. I think on the feet, her striking is really crisp. If Weili comes in kind of crazy, we've seen Weili knocked out cold. We've seen her hurt repeatedly in recent fights. So I think Shevchenko could hurt her on the feet. I think she could beat her on the ground and the grappling. I just think there's more ways for Shevchenko to win. So the pick's got to be Valentina Shevchenko for your boy. But next up, we got Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. Now, we got Sean Brady as the grappler. We got Michael Morales as the striker. Classic example of a striker versus grappler matchup. This one's going to be very fun. You know, Michael Morales, only 26 years old, very green, very young, not super experienced. I mean, you can look at his record. He has a ton of pro fights. But in the sense of his age, very young, it just goes to show how good he is, that he's having this much success at a young age. Sean Brady, proven battle-tested veteran. You know, he's fought the who's who. He fought Bilal Muhammad. He's fought high-level guys, former champs. It just goes to show that Sean Brady, very well-rounded, or very well equipped, rather, to be able to hang in a high-level fight against a guy like Michael Morales. It's going to be interesting how these two styles clashes. Who do we think is going to win? We'll cover that. But first, let's break down some fights. First up, we got Sean Brady. Some of his recent fights. We got against Leon Edwards. This is all you need to know. He absolutely cooked Leon Edwards in the grappling, dominated, he made it look easy. In terms of the stats on this fight, too, the craziest part, you can see Sean Brady outstruck Leon Edwards. You look, too. It's not just because you think of Sean Brady, you're like, okay, well, he's just landing pitter-patter on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he's going for. No, you can even look. Look, we broke it down in terms of the distance striking, too. Sean Brady still outstruck Leon Edwards from distance striking, 19-11. Interesting shit. Next up, we got him versus Gilbert Burns. We have this fight starts. Okay, this one is a little bit later. This is 4:58 in the second round. A little bit later of a start, but we could see, Burns came out hot. He was landing some bombs on Sean Brady. He didn't really like him. We can see, got the same picture twice. What the hell? You can see later on, he rocks him. I mean, you can see Sean Brady was wobbled by this shot at the start of the second round. It was hurting him. I mean, Sean Brady was a little chicken leg in there for a second. It just goes to show he can be hurt. He can be wobbled. We have seen it. You can see now he gets on the ground. He's able to have some success against Gilbert Burns, which is impressive. Gilbert Burns is pretty damn dangerous on the ground. He's a good grappler. So him having some success, very impressive. However, Gilbert Burns very talented himself, able to reverse positions a bit. We can see, this is a point I wanted to put out too. In the clinch, Gilbert Burns was landing some massive shots on Sean Brady. You could see these elbows he was landing were having an effect on Sean Brady. Sean Brady's defensive striking, not very good in this fight. He was able to land some. When he was the one throwing, he was looking good. It's just defensively, he had a lot of times where he was getting clipped, especially in this third round. Minute left, boom, big shots to the elbow. You could see another one that Gilbert Burns lands flush. Sean Brady, he had his chin high up. He's just getting clipped. He can be defensively very reckless at times on the feet. This is just a prime example of that. That's really like might worry me a bit going against a guy like Michael Morales. So this is just one moment from this fight. In the third round, we can see it, another angle. In the fourth round, Gilbert Burns hitting Sean Brady with some absolute haymakers. I mean, he was landing flush on Sean Brady's head. He had damn good accuracy on Sean Brady's head. I'll tell you that. Gilbert Burns striking looked pretty damn good. He was landing these nukes. Fifth round comes around. He hits this flying knee that lands flush on Sean Brady. And the thing, I point out these different moments of these big shots that Gilbert Burns lands just to show that Sean Brady can be hit. I mean, you look at all of his fights, he's getting hit. I mean, especially in this fight. This fight was the perfect example of at least one point in every single round, you can see Sean Brady getting hit with the absolute haymaker that just comes from out of nowhere, a huge shot that Sean Brady just eats in the shin. And I don't mean this as a good thing. I mean, if he's doing the same thing against a Michael Morales, it is not going to be good. I mean, you can literally see this was, we got the second round, he gets clipped pretty damn badly. And then we go down to the third round. He was eating elbows in the clinch like it was candy. Go into the fourth round. He is eating bombs to the head. Fifth round, eats a flying knee. There are moments where Sean Brady's striking defensively looks pretty damn bad. So it does worry me quite a bit into this fight, or going into this fight against a guy like Michael Morales. But anyway, his fight against Belal Muhammad, now this was a very interesting one. I had to watch this one back because it was so damn long ago. I was like, my memory felt like, I don't know, hazy on this one, because I was like, all right, in my mind, when I remember this fight, I look back and I was like, well, it was an early stoppage. It was like, it was a bullshit stoppage. Who knows how that fight would have gone if it wasn't stopped so early. That's how I kind of remembered it. I watched it back. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, well, Belal outstruck Sean Brady. That's not a great look. I can see he also went 0 for 5 on takedowns with zero seconds of control time. Not the best look, but I'm like, all right, let's run it back. First round comes. This is the point that I wanted to make too. This just reminded me from the Gilbert Burns fight and this fight. Sean Brady looks really good when he's the one who's walking you down in the striking, but when people walk him down in the striking, when he's defensively striking, like when he's on his back foot, he looks really bad. And it just like, it's a dynamic. He's a really good hammer, really bad nail, and it's just like every fight that I watch from him, when he's the one walking guys down against the cage with the striking, he's looking really good. He can land his accuracy-wise, like with the striking in his hands, really good. It's just when guys walk him down, when he's not the one leading the charge, he struggles. First round, a minute left, Belal Muhammad's walking him down. Second round comes around. This is when the beginning of the end starts. Belal Muhammad is just walking him down against the cage. I mean, you can see Sean Brady's back is against the cage. He has nowhere to go. Belal is just basically walking him down, and he's landing that well. I mean, we can see was a minute left in the second round. This is the beginning of the end. I mean, you look through the fight, though. I mean, this is 3 minutes into the second round. A minute left in the second round. We're in the same exact situation. He's just walking him down, hunting him down. like deer and a coyote or something. I don't know. You get my point. He's just hunting him down. But then a minute left, Beneil just starts just throwing a barrage of these strikes. He just starts emptying the clip on this man. He just throws with no care, no hesitation, because that's the other bad thing about Sean Brady is that his striking, he just has no power. So there's no real threat. You're not really too worried about anything from Sean Brady coming back your way. Whereas you can just land on him too, because you don't have that worry in the back of your mind, like, oh shit, I don't want to get hit by this guy. Sean Brady just doesn't have that pop in his hands, that real power, that fight-ending ability. And it's a struggle, it's a real problem when he goes against guys. And against Beneil in this example, Belal's not worried about anything. Nothing's coming back his way. He is just letting Beneil tee off on his head like a golf ball for the last minute of this fight. And I'm like, I put in all these screenshots of this fight because I'm like, holy shit. Boom. I mean, it's just... he's just landing on him like it's nothing. And that's what it made. Like, when I went back and I watched this one too, I was like, that's not even a terrible stoppage. I mean, he's getting just unloaded on for 30 plus seconds of unanswered strikes. Yeah, it's not the best stoppage, but at the same time, I mean, he was getting his ass kicked. Sean Brady was not even trying to get out of there. So, really bad look. Especially Beneil as a wrestler. Really bad look. So, seeing this type of thing does not give me a lot of hope, considering that he is facing none other than Michael Morales. Michael Morales, recent fights. We got Gilbert Burns. Now, he made this look easy. This is the crazy thing about Michael Morales, too. His striking's a bit unconventional. He has these crazy looping shots that he throws, where it's like his hand is like a boomerang. He just like... he throws it out, and then by the time it comes back, it's like a Batman, like a what the Batman boomerang, whatever, the Batarang, whatever. By the time you see it coming back, it's coming back home like a boomerang, and it's hitting you in the head. It's crazy how he's able to just land shots behind Gilbert Burns' guard, because Gilbert Burns can't even see the damn thing coming. It's coming from like 3 o'clock. I mean, like, it's coming from completely out of nowhere, which is insane. Just how long his reach is. He's able to do this against guys, and it's hard for guys to really manage this distance. It's hard for guys to anticipate these types of shots, and they're powerful. They do a lot of damage, and they quickly add up. They were messing Gilbert Burns up, and you can see Gilbert Burns has his left arm out. He's trying to block something. He doesn't know what he's trying to do. He's just trying to maybe create some distance. I don't know. You can see the boomerang. The boomerang's flying from the right side. It's coming like an airplane coming in. I mean, that thing comes from nowhere. You don't even see it, and by the time you see it, it's too late. It's connected on the side of your head. He was just teeing off on Gilbert Burns, and this was a crazy shot too. He lands this uppercut. It's like Michael Jordan, when he hit the dunk from the free point line or the free throw line. It was absolutely crazy. Like, the range this man has, the way he's able to close distances this quickly is absolutely insane. Goes to show Gilbert Burns now. And in the first round, or 2 minutes left in this first round, Gilbert Burns goes for a takedown because he's like, screw the striking. This is not fun. I'm not having a good time anymore. Goes for the takedown. He's able to have some success. I will say, though, Michael Morales, he does get taken down, and I was glad to be able to see him get taken down in this spot to see, okay, how is he going to hang if he gets taken down? Able to get his back to the cage. He's able to get back up. Does a great job. You can even see him looking up. He's probably looking at the screens where you can try and get a better feel for his position. Very high fight IQ from Michael Morales. You get to see him. 2 minutes left in the round. You can literally see he's taken down within 10 seconds. He's back up on his feet against the cage. You can see he's able to get in the position into a little bit better of a spot. Boom. Within, 10, 15 seconds, you can see he's already back teeing off against Gilbert Burns against the cage. It just goes to show how physically empowering this man is. And once you have him, if you have him pushed up against the cage and you're controlling him against the cage, it only takes 1 moment before he's teeing off on your head like a golf ball. I mean, it's crazy. And from then, minute 42, minute 39, I guess I forgot to put the rest in, but you guys know how that one went. And if you don't, it ended with Gilbert Burns being deceased on the floor after Michael Morales puts him out with a barrage of strikes. So in terms of who I got Michael Morales. I think he's going to pull off the upset. I genuinely think he is. With Sean Brady, he looks good in the striking when he's the one moving forward. He's not going to be able to do that against Michael Morales. He is not going to be able to do that for a second. It's just going to take a matter of time before Michael Morales has landed these shots that really get Sean Brady hurt. I mean, we've seen him hurt by multiple people now at this point. His chin, it's not bad. It's not bad. And it's not like Belal Muhammad knocked his ass out or anything like that, but we've seen him knocked out. technically. And we've seen him hurt multiple times. I mean, even Gilbert Burns put the work on him in the striking. And we just saw Michael Morales put the absolute work on Gilbert Burns. Not saying that MMA math applies here. It's just if Gilbert Burns is teeing off on you, I imagine Michael Morales is going to tee off on you as well. If Belal Muhammad is teeing off on you in the striking, you're damn sure that Michael Morales is going to tee off on you in the striking as well. So I think Michael Morales is going to be landing the much more damaging shots. And Michael Morales is absolutely huge out there. He looks like a light heavyweight. And even against Sean Brady, who's a big-ass dude, he's going to look huge out there. So I think Michael Morales, we've seen his takedown defense against that very high-level grappler like a Gilbert Burns. He passed with flying colors. I mean, Gilbert Burns took him down within a couple seconds. He's popped back up against the cage, clinched up. He's able to reverse it. And then within 10, 15 seconds, he's already back to teeing off on you. I just don't think Sean Brady's going to be able to keep enough of a dominating pressure style on the ground. I don't think he's going to just be able to land takedowns and just control Michael Morales on the ground for 15 minutes. If anyone's landing the more damaging shots, it is Michael Morales. And it's not like Sean Brady is just like a wet blanket type of guy. I like Sean Brady. I like his grappling. You know, he's always working. He's trying to land a lot of shots. He's going for submissions. He's an active grappler who's fun to watch. I like Sean Brady, and I'm rooting for him. I just think Michael Morales is going to be too much. I think if Michael Morales can keep it on the feet, he's going to pick apart Sean Brady from range. I could definitely see him getting the knockout here. My prediction, I think Michael Morales is going to knock out Sean Brady. We've just seen what he's been able to do so far, and I've seen his takedown defense, and people underestimate his takedown defense too. He has a wrestling base. He has a judo base. It's not like he's just this one-trick pony kickboxer who has no takedown defense. No, he has a judo and wrestling base, so he is very well-rounded. And at only 26 years old, you could argue maybe he's not quite ready just yet. You know, you could argue maybe Sean Brady, with the extra experience, he's in his physical prime right now. Maybe Sean Brady can put on the crafty vet lesson and edge one out against Michael Morales. No diddy. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Michael Morales is going to be landing the more damaging shots. He should be able to find his range pretty quickly. He's going to probably hurt Sean Brady at multiple points. Even if he can't finish him, it's probably going to be enough to win it in terms of the scorecard. So I like Michael Morales. I'm picking the underdog here. I think he's going to get the upset win over Sean Brady. Real quickly, if you guys like the content and you want to help support your boy, help me out with the algorithm, drop a comment, drop a like. It goes a long way. So thank you guys so much for all the support on the videos. Really appreciate it. And let's keep this rolling. But next up, we got Leon Edwards versus Carlos Prates. Now, start with our boy Leon. Boom. Leon Edwards, recent fights. Now, these are multiple of his recent fights. We're not going to go over a ton of pictures between them. I just wanted to point out, it's kind of interesting. You know, when you look at Leon Edwards, he's going against a lot of wrestlers. You can see going against Sean Brady, Belal Muhammad, Colby Covington, and Kamaru Usman. He's going against wrestlers and grapplers. He's not really going against extremely high-level strikers. And the kind of crazy thing is you look like, in terms of certain of his stats, you can look like he's getting outstruck by a guy like Sean Brady, which is weird. Sean Brady, he's not a striker, you know. He's well-rounded, but he likes to grapple. He wants to keep it on the ground. And even against guys like Belal Muhammad outstruck him. And a lot of these stats too, it's not like just ground and clinch control shots. It's like even distance striking, he's getting outlanded. But then you could also look at it on the other hand of he's fighting all these wrestlers. He's having some success. You can see, that's why I have this in red. He's still doing decent in the grappling. You can see, besides Sean Brady did cook his ass. He went 0 for 1 on takedowns, only 15 seconds of control. But you look against Belal Muhammad, Leon Edwards went 2 out of 2 on takedowns with 7 minutes of control. That's impressive. That is very impressive to me. You look against Colby Covington, you can see he went 2 out of 3 on takedowns and had 1 minute and 27 seconds of control time. That's impressive to me. You look at his fight against Kamaru Usman, 1 out of 5 on takedowns, but 2 minutes and 56 of control time. He's obviously not beating the wrestlers in the wrestling. We know that. However, he's still looking good. He's still able to have quite a few moments of success against extremely high-level wrestlers. Carlos Prates is not a high-level wrestler. He is purely a striker. Now, his grappling is a bit underrated, but he's a striker. He wants to keep it on the feet. He has a ton of power. He wants to knock your head off. I just had this in here to talk about Leon Edwards is not just some one-trick striking pony, and it's going to be a back-and-forth striking match between the two of them. I think Leon Edwards is going to have the best shot in the wrestling and the grappling here. I think he definitely could pull off the upset if he comes in here like a Marab. If he tries to grapple, I think he could have quite a bit of success against a guy like Carlos Prates. But this is another thing I wanted to point out in terms of, I guess we already talked about it for a second, but in terms of the significant striking, I mean, we could see Belal Muhammad outstruck him. So you could look at that and be like, ooh, that's not a good look. You know, Carlos Prates, he would smoke Belal Muhammad in terms of just pure striking. So that's a bit of a concern, but you could also look at the wrestling. You could see, well, Leon went 2 out of 2 and the takedowns with 7 minutes of control, also very impressive. Or you could also look at his fight against Belal and you could see distance striking too. It's not even just the clinch shots. It's not even just shots on the ground. it's distance striking. Bilal Muhammad damn near doubled him up on significant strikes. You can look at it from either way. Probably a bad thing with the striking, but pretty good with the wrestling. So, in terms of Carlos Prates' recent fights, the one fight I really wanted to talk about, I don't know if, this is the one I really wanted to talk about. I didn't know if I had it first or not. But against Ian Garry. Now, Ian Garry won this fight through the grappling. He had Carlos Prates second-guessing himself. He had him confused. He was worried about the takedowns. He wasn't able to just let the hands fly like he normally is able to do. We can see throughout this entire fight. First round, he's landing takedowns. Now, Carlos Prates has good moments of his own. He's able to reverse some positions, able to have some success in the clinch against the cage. However, it's just, he has this thought in the back of his head of like, oh shit, this guy's going to shoot a takedown on me. I can't land haymakers. And that kind of cripples him throughout this entire fight. We can see Ian Garry, second round, going for takedowns. Now, Carlos Prates, I believe he gets out of this one, which just goes to show he has good takedown defense as well. It's pretty impressive. He's able to sprawl a bit. Yeah, the second round, he was able to get out of this one. If he landed, I would have had the picture in there. He's able to get out of some of these attempts from Ian Garry, which was impressive. It just goes to show you, like, he definitely was training for this aspect of his game, and it looked pretty good at points, but at other points, we could see Ian Garry landing these takedowns. Halfway through the third round, Ian Garry lands another takedown. Ian Garry was just had this constant pressure and this constant threat of the takedowns, and he was able to land quite a bit of them. You can see in the third round, he's able to get to a dominant position on the top. You can see third round, even against the cage, he's comfortable just controlling Carlos Prates against the cage. It's not even that he has to do a whole lot. He can just sit there and control his ass against the cage, win minutes on the scorecards. That's how he ends up winning. We can see the longer this one goes on, I can see, what is this? This was, this is a prime example too. I didn't have the time. Oh, this time in here. Yeah, 33 seconds left. This, you can literally see Carlos Prates throwing a left hand. He's throwing this haymaker, and he overextends on it quite a bit, you can see, and that's all Ian Garry needs. He overextends, misses the shot. Ian Garry ducks underneath it, and at that point, boom, easy takedown. You can see at this point, Carlos Prates is cooked. Ian Garry's taking his ass down. Great takedown, like it was nothing. Third round, he ends it, controlling his ass. Fourth round comes back, boom, Ian Garry shoots another takedown a minute into the fourth round. At this point, you see, he's laughing at him. You can see he's like sticking his tongue out. He's just trolling him. You can see another takedown attempt from Ian Garry. 3 minutes, 30 seconds in the fourth round. He gets it going on of a single leg takedown in the fourth round. Ian Garry's looking like Morava here. I mean, he lands another takedown against the cage. 4 minutes, or fourth round, 3 minutes in. He's controlling his back against the cage. I mean, Ian Garry, you can see this nice little trip. You can see his leg wrapping around. I mean, holy shit. You can see he was cooking him. Now, in the fifth round, Prates really starts to push the pace, and he really starts to, he almost gets Ian Garry out of there. I mean, he rocks him, he hurts him, landed some huge shots on him. So it's, Carlos Prates is dangerous the entire time. But the thing that I really wanted to point out about this fight, or just this matchup in general, you can see Ian Garry, you look at his takedown stats, and you're like, well, he lands one per every 15 minutes on average. One takedown, that is. You can see 33% takedown accuracy. That's not very good. However, he dominated Carlos Prates in the grappling. He dominated. That's how he won. He landed a bunch of takedowns, racked up control minutes. Carlos Prates was too scared to overextend on shots. He was too scared of tiring himself out, and it really fucked up his flow throughout the entire fight. That's how that went down. But you look at these stats, it's like, just looking at the stats, you wouldn't think Ian Garry could do that. One takedown per 15 minutes, 33% accuracy for takedowns. Then you look at Leon Edwards. One takedown per 15 minutes, 36% accuracy. Leon and Ian Garry, damn near the same level grappler. And you could argue, Leon Edwards, these stats are against higher level of competition, and they're against extremely high level wrestlers. I think Leon Edwards probably has the grappling and the wrestling to be able to implement a very similar game plan that Ian Garry did against Carlos Prates, I will say. Oh, I forgot I had the slide where I compared to both, but you can see it here. I would not be surprised if we see a very similar fight to the Ian Garry and Carlos Prates. If I'm Leon Edwards, I am not standing and striking with Carlos Prates. That's a recipe for getting knocked out. And I didn't put it in here. Oh, this was another really beautiful exchange of Ian Garry. Just look at the technique on this man. He's pulling the back leg out. Lands. Oh, this was beautiful, beautiful. But anyway, Leon Edwards, if he stands and strikes, he's going to get knocked out. I mean, we have seen Leon Edwards hurt so many times. We saw him hurt against Nate Diaz. Beneil rocked him. Who else rocked him? Someone else hurt him too. I'm blanking who. The main one I can think of is Nate Diaz when he points at him. But we've seen Leon Edwards' chin cracked multiple times. So don't, like, Carlos Prates, if he lands flush on Leon Edwards' head, he's going to knock his head clean off, and Leon Edwards will get knocked out. That's a very, very live reality. And that's what I think is honestly going to happen. I think if Leon Edwards comes in here, trying to come out like Khabib, and he wrestles extremely heavy, wrestles the entire 15 minutes, doesn't let Carlos Prates get any ounce of wiggle room, I think Leon Edwards wins this fight, genuinely. I think Leon should win this if he can stick to a smart game plan. I know people are going to call me crazy for that, but on the other hand, I think it's either Leon Edwards by decision or Carlos Prates is going to knock his head off and he's going to get knocked out. I feel like it's Edwards by decision, Prates by knockout. Seems like one of the two. And the last thing I'll say about the Ian Gary fight too, Carlos Prates is just not a 5-round fighter. The whole 5-round fight, the game planning for that, I think he was just a bit too hesitant going into that. In a 3-rounder against Leon Edwards, Carlos Prates has nothing to worry about in terms of the power of Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards just doesn't hit that hard. There's no knockout threat of a Leon Edwards. So Carlos Prates only needs to worry about the takedowns. And that's it. That's the only thing he needs to be remotely worried about at any point is just the takedowns. So as long as Carlos Prates can keep this on the feet and pick apart Leon Edwards from range, I think he's going to touch that chin. I'm going to pick Carlos Prates. I think he does get the knock. I think he can knock Leon Edwards' head off. And maybe he doesn't. Maybe he can't, but maybe he rocks him bad. And then it's enough to get it in terms of the scorecards for that round. Then he just needs one of the other 2 rounds. I feel like that's a very, very likely outcome. But do not be surprised if Leon Edwards comes out here, lands 8 takedowns, and racks up 13 minutes of control time and wins a decision. I will not be surprised at all. This is a very, very tricky, high-level fight. So we'll have to see how this one goes down. But I guess going to my head, I'll pick Carlos Prates. But anyway, next up, we got Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Saint-Denis. This is a very interesting fight, too. We got Beneil Dariush, who is a bit of a... I don't want to say he's on the tail end of his career, but he's starting to slow down a bit. It's getting towards the end of the road. His durability is just not very great. You look at his age, like 36, he probably has some more life left in the tank, and he does. It just depends on the matchups. Anyone who has a lot of knockout power is probably going to put him out. It's probably not going to be good. I mean, he's got hurt badly in the last 3 of his last 3 fights. He's been hurt very badly. Finished in 2 of them, but you can see the last fight against McConico, he did end up winning it. He came back, but we'll talk about that. And I guess we'll start out with Dariush. Most recent fights against McConico. Most recent fight, literally what we were just talking about. He gets hurt early. First round, he gets dropped bad. I mean, if this fight went on a whole lot longer, he might have been cooked. He was able to get saved by the bell. But second round comes around. Renato Moicano starts to shoot some takedowns, tries to get the grappling going. He just can't really do a whole lot. Dariush's defensive grappling is elite. His grappling in general is elite. Some of the best, pretty slept on, honestly. People don't talk about it enough. No one beats Dariush in the grappling. Nobody. So, very impressive. He's able to sprawl, able to prevent the takedowns of Moicano. He even reverses it, gets on top of Moicano, and just starts beating the shit out of him. I mean, this was in the beginning of the second round, 4 minutes, 46 seconds of the second round, you can see he's on top of him. And by the end of the second round, 8 seconds left, he's still kicking his ass on the ground. He's just a beast in scrambling. On the ground, this man's a problem. Third round starts, he starts landing, goes for a takedown, boom, comes in, gets it. 15 seconds of the third round, he's already on top. He's going to take down. Yeah, Moicano's cooked. Now, they do grapple a bit. He backpacks him with 2 minutes left in the third round. Dariush is an absolute menace. That's all I got for this one. But it just goes to show, if you grapple with this guy, you're going to lose. And he'll beat BSD in the grappling. He definitely will. So if I'm Benoit Saint-Denis, I'm saying do not try and grapple this man. He will cook you. He cooked Moicano, who's a high-level grappler. We saw him cook Gamrot. I mean, he does it all. He'll cook anyone in the grappling, and BSD is no exception to that. So, he needs to be careful of that. But then we address the chin problems. Arman Tsarukyan, when Dariush fought Tsarukyan, eats a knee to the dome, and that's all she wrote. Fights Charles Oliveira. Oh, this isn't the very end, but in the very beginning of the fight, gets a kick to the head, not good. Now, he looks good in the grappling early on. Charles Oliveira is a bit of an exception, though. He's willing to grapple. He's willing to go to the ground and have you follow him to the ground. So, this one's a bit different, but minute left in the first round, head kick. Yeah, he's dead. So, does it for that. But against Gamrot, this is a very good stylistic comparison because we were able to see he cooked him. I mean, Gamrot was not able to land takedowns. You could see throughout this entire fight, he went 2 out of 6 in the first round, 1 for 7 in the second, 1 for 6 in the third round. He was able to rack up less than 2 minutes of total control time throughout this entire fight. Extremely impressive. And then on the feet, Dariush was better. This was probably one of his most impressive wins. He beat Gamrot at his own game, outstruck him on the feet. Extremely impressive. So, don't sleep on Dariush. In the grappling, very, very dangerous and just very, very skilled. It's not like he's necessarily going to knock BSD out, but he could definitely win on the scorecards. For BSD, though, his recent fights, we got him against Rufi. We know how this one went. This is not really a similar stylistic matchup, though. That's why I didn't really want to talk about this one all that much. Dariush is not about the exact opposite of a Mauricio Ruffy. So, shout out to BSD, though. Great win, but stylistically not very close. I guess Renato Moicano. This is a very similar stylistic matchup. That's very important to look at. We saw early on in this fight, BSD throws a kick. Renato Moicano catches it. He's cooked. This sealed his fate. That kick sealed his fate for the entire rest of the fight. From here to takedown, bada boom, bada bang. Yeah, he got cooked. And it's just brutal. I mean, he brutalized him. Backpacked his ass, got on top, beating the piss out of him. Second round, I mean, I didn't show it, but I mean, we all saw how his face was after the end of the first round. This was 3 minutes left in the first round of Moicano beating the shit out of him. Second round comes around, BSD's face is cooked. Moicano comes for more grappling. I guess I didn't put anything after this one. I thought I did. But yeah, we know how that one went. Moicano beat his ass. The second round was a lot more competitive, but just his face was so busted up from the damage, he couldn't see out of his one eye. Doctor called it off. Just goes to show, BSD's grappling is good, but we saw what a high-level grappler can do to him. So there's that potential. But anyway, against Dustin Poirier, we saw a bit of the same. You know, he had a lot of success against the clinch, or in the clinch against the cage. We saw him have a ton of success against Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier jumped like 35 guillotines in this fight, which was like infuriating. And this is the first round here where he's having success in the clinch. Second round comes around. Yeah, he just gets clipped. Poirier starts to beat the shit out of him. However, BSD had some moments. You can see 4 minutes and 7 seconds left in the second round. Tricky spot on the ground. He almost gets Poirier out of there. It's just he starts to go to war against the cage. He wanted to go tit for tat, strike for strike against Dustin Poirier. You can't do it. And he gets put out. Against Matt Frevola, though, this is an interesting one, too. Matt Frevola had a lot of success early on in the grappling. This could be similar to like a Dariush type of situation. Had a lot of success. Matt Frevola, good. Got to top control. I mean, you could see he had moments where he was looking really good in this fight. BSD was struggling. It's just they got to range. All it took was one strike. Matt Frevola out cold. And I kind of feel like that's a similar situation of what can happen here. We could see BSD get dominated for 14 minutes, but then they get to the feet with 1 minute left in this fight, and all it takes is one shot on the chin of Dariush, and he's probably going to go to bed. So that's like, I have this concern in the back of my mind. I feel like a Gamrot was the perfect matchup for Dariush because there's not a whole lot of power coming back his way. Pretty predictable in the sense of what Gamrot's going to do, the type of game plan he's going to follow. And as long as you can just neutralize his grappling, you can beat him. BSD is just a bit of a crash out. He'll grapple. He'll go shot for shot. We've seen him go tit for tat against Dustin Poirier. We've seen him grapple against Renato Moicano. He doesn't give a shit. BSD doesn't even know what he's going to do. So the unpredictability, just like the uncertainty, just no one knowing what BSD is going to do, who the hell knows what type of a game plan he's going to follow. I think the craziness in the I don't know, the chaos there's probably going to be one moment. And all he needs is one moment to touch the chin of Dariush. And it's probably going to be it. We saw Moicano. He did the same thing in the first round. He just death gassed. He had nothing left in the tank, and he threw that fight away. BSD doesn't have that shit of cardio. So I think if BSD does the same thing, maybe he doesn't finish Dariush. I just think if he's able to hurt him, you know, you've won that round for sure. Now you got rounds 2 and 3 where you got to win one of them. I don't think he's going to death gas. He likely does the same thing in the second or third round. If Dariush had better durability, I would take him, and you could do the MMA math. You could see, well, Dariush beat Moicano. Moicano beat BSD. I just don't think that type of MMA math works in this type of a situation. So I'm going to pick BSD just because I think he's a bit more durable. He has a bit more finishing upside. Would I be completely surprised if Dariush is able to win? No. I think if he is, he's going to have to stick to a perfect grappling game plan where he just gets on top of BSD and just wet blankets his way to a win for 15 minutes, which he definitely could. He definitely could. So, Dariush is not out of this fight. I just think BSD, I think the finishing upside is going to be just a bit too much for Dariush. And I think the safer side would be BSD. Because if you're picking Dariush, you need him to fight a perfect 15 minutes. And at this point in his career, all the damage he's taken, I just don't know if he's going to do that. So anyway, next up, we got Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodrigues. This is going to be an interesting striking match. You know, I think there's going to be some striking. I think there's going to be some grappling. It's kind of a matter of who can have their way. You know, Roman Kopylov is probably going to be a bit faster on the feet, a bit more slick, a bit more nimble. Rodrigues probably a bit more power, and he has that grappling upside. But we're going to take a look at some of their recent fights. Now, first up, we got Roman Kopylov. Now, his fight against Anthony Hernandez, this is a very interesting one I want to talk about because This could easily look similar to how this fight against Rodrigues is going to look. Against Hernandez, he got worked in the grappling. Round 1, he gets grapple fucked. Round 2, I mean, this is round 1, round 2, basically in the same spot. We know how this one went. I mean, Fluffy is a special talent. However, G-Rod has very high level grappling. We're going to talk about it, but not the best look. And I'm not saying it's like a bad loss. It just goes to show there's levels on the ground. Anthony Hernandez is on that level, but so is RoboCop. So we'll talk about RoboCop. This is why I put it on here in my notes. Former 8-time national jiu-jitsu champion. RoboCop has some damn good grappling. I know we don't see it all the time, but he has it. Now, in his fight against Christian Leroy Duncan, this is where we really got to see it. Boom. You can see CLD goes for a kick. That's all it takes. 1 moment, 1 second. You let a leg up. Rodrigues is taking that leg. He's taking your ass down. I mean, boom. All it took was a second. You can see 3:13 in the first round. 3:12 in the first round. 1 second, you're done. You're on the ground. Now, the scrambling was back and forth. We could just see, like, the fight ended, or the round ended. We could see RoboCop dominated in the grappling. Not saying CLD is bad on the ground or that he just gets dominated. It's just Gregory Rodrigues is a step ahead of him. So, second round comes around. CLD has some success against the cage in the clinch. You know, he has some moments of success. Holy shit. But it's a matter of time. You know, he's just not the same level of grappler as a guy like Gregory Rodrigues. We could see it's a matter of time. 3:32 in the second round. CLD is winning some of the clinch battles. 2:52. RoboCop is taking his ass down against the cage, and that's all it takes. I mean, he gets to his back. This is another, he landed a big-ass bomb. I forgot about this one. Lands a huge shot towards the end of the second round, hurts CLD. And CLD, it had him trying to go to the clinch because CLD was like, screw this. I don't want to deal with this guy's power. He hits way too damn hard. But RoboCop got to his back. RoboCop was just dominating on the ground from this point on. This is CLD's head after the first 2 rounds. I mean, look at the bumps and the side. I mean, it looks like an irregular shape here, the way that RoboCop's hands touch someone's skull. This is what it looks like. I mean, he was getting beat up. Third round comes around. RoboCop is cardio. Yeah, it's looked bad in the 5-round fight against Jared Cannonier where he had to push a high pace. He can go for 3 rounds, though. Third round starts a minute in. He is picking Christian Leroy Duncan up like a baby and throwing him around in the air and ragdolling him. Rodrigues has some crazy-ass strength. Look at this. This is after 2 extremely high-paced rounds. He's picking CLD up like a baby and tossing him like a football. I mean, holy moly. Just goes to show. I mean, he was having his way. CLD looked like a fish out of water. And CLD can grapple. Like, he can grapple. Like, it's not like he is bad at scrambling and bad grappling. CLD is pretty well-rounded. It's just Rodrigues is on a different level. It's kind of like a Fluffy. What he did to Kopylov. It's almost like the exact same comparison. It's very similar. Just goes to show. He was cooking. You could see the control time. 8 minutes and 20 seconds of control time. I mean, yeah, he didn't get the submission. He got the win, though. So, I don't know a whole lot for this one, but I really think it's stylistically. Roman Kopylov is going to be faster on the feet. He could knock Gregory Rodrigues out. We've seen Rodrigues' chin cracked before in the past. That's a definite reality. That could happen. That's a real possibility. That could happen. It's just I don't think Rodrigues is going to play that type of a game. You know, he's a smart guy. He's not going to want to fight fight to a stupid game plan. In a 3-round fight, he should just take Kopylov down, and if he can do that, he can look really good. Now, in his last fight, Kopylov against Paulo Costa, the striking was back and forth. You know, it was pretty damn competitive. Yes, he lost, but that was a respectable loss. You know, I'm not holding that against him. He still held his own. And I think in terms of a pure boxing match, he's not going to have the power of Rodrigues, but I think he'd beat him in the speed, and I think he could win a back and forth technical striking match for 15 minutes. It's just the grappling. Purely the grappling. We've seen Kopylov struggle against good grapplers. We know Rodrigues, 8-time national world champion in jiu-jitsu. Very high-level guy. So, I just think the grappling upside for Rodrigues is going to be a step enough ahead of a guy like Kopylov. It's going to be like his trick card that he has in his back pocket, that if he's struggling on the feet at any point, boom, whips it out, controls Kopylov, whether he submits him or not, or takes it to a decision. I just think he has that ability to win this fight by many more ways than a guy like Kopylov can. So, pick's got to be Gregory Rodrigues. Next up, we got the early prelims, or prelims and early prelims. I don't know. The order is kind of all over the place, so this could be accurate. This could not be. I don't know. The order could be all over, but anyway, we got Erin Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. This is one of those fights. First of all, it's a rematch. They fought earlier in Invicta. Erin Blanchfield was 19. Absolutely crazy. It was a competitive fight, split decision. So her going to a split at 19, very impressive. Just goes to show she's a real talent. So, but anyway, we could see this is one of those fights. I think using the MMA math is actually relevant in this type of a fight because both these girls are both grapplers. We can see they fought the same opponent around the same time, and the outcomes were extremely different. We saw them both fight over 5 rounds against the same opponent in a very similar stylistic matchup, and their levels of skill were just nowhere remotely close. They were nowhere near the same. We saw when Erin fought Rose Namajunas, we could see she racked up 9 minutes of control time. Yes, she only got 2 out of 8 takedowns, but she dominated. If you look at the terms of the percentages, she's winning 99% of the control time on the ground. So it goes to show she was cooking. And you even look at the numbers, she technically outstruck Rose Namajunas in terms of significant strikes. Pretty crazy stuff. And then you look at the numbers for Rose Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez. Rose dominated Tracy in the grappling. You can see she went 5 for 5 on takedowns against Tracy Cortez. She landed 6 minutes and 36 seconds of control time, nearly 7 times the amount, or 6, whatever times the amount that Tracy Cortez landed. This was the fight that Tracy Cortez got her eyelash knocked off. It was pretty funny. But it just goes to show this is the type of MMA math that actually works. Like, this actually works because it's, you look at the stylistic matchup between the two of them. They fought the same opponent with the same game plan, except one was very successful, the other wasn't. That's not the only thing you're looking at here, but it just goes to show it is an important factor to consider here as well. And beyond the significant striking too, because significant striking can include strikes from any point of the fight in terms of the ground, the clinch, from range, whatever. You can see at distance striking, Erin Blanchfield still technically outstruck Rose Namajunas. You can see Rose Namajunas technically nearly doubled up Tracy Cortez on the significant striking. And you look at their striking, like if you watch those fights back, it doesn't even look like it. You look at Tracy Cortez's striking in recent years, and you can say, oh, like her striking's actually looks probably better than Erin Blanchfield's. Erin Blanchfield's striking doesn't look all that good, but it's just on the numbers. Like if you watch these fights back, the numbers didn't really make sense, but in terms of how they're judging it, this is technically how the numbers are. It just goes to show the level of performances between these two girls very, very differently. And these were similar, like these fights both happened around the same time too. So I think it's a very comparable matchup between these two. I think it's going to come down to who's the better grappler. Erin Blanchfield was extremely competitive with Tracy Cortez when she was 19 years old. And that's a different time of age too. That type of a gap. Erin Blanchfield at 19, she hasn't had the experience. Tracy Cortez had an extra 6 years of experience, and she's going back and forth with Erin Blanchfield. Now they're both physically in their primes. They're both physically full size. They're fully developed. Now this is going to be a lot more competitive. And if there was so much success for Erin Blanchfield, she made it that competitive at 19 where she really wasn't mentally fully mature and she wasn't as physically strong and she didn't have the skill set that she has now. Now the age gap's not going to make that big of a difference. Now it's going to be a lot more even of a fight. I think Erin Blanchfield wins this fight pretty clearly. This line is completely off. I placed a bet on Erin Blanchfield today and this line's way wider than minus 165. This line's gotten completely blown out. I'm pissed I didn't get on it earlier. I think Erin Blanchfield at minus 165 would have been like a hammer of a bet. But I really do think Erin Blanchfield has every way to win this fight. Except, if she just stands and strikes for 15 minutes, yeah, that would be stupid. And it'll look like a pick'em. However, on the grappling, in terms of who can out-grapple the other girl, Erin Blanchfield should be a step ahead of Tracy Cortez. And I think that's all it's going to take. That's all it's going to take. I don't think she's necessarily going to submit Tracy Cortez, but I think on the ground she should be a step ahead. I like Erin Blanchfield quite a bit. We've seen her level of competition too. She's only looked bad against Manafaro, a girl who's basically impossible to take down. Yeah, that makes sense why she's not looking great there. But we saw against Tracy Cortez when she went against Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas was throwing her around, controlling her like a ragdoll on the ground. So we saw what Erin Blanchfield did to Rose on the ground too. So this MMA math, it applies because of the similar stylistic matchup, in my opinion at least. So I like Erin Blanchfield in this quite a bit. Next up, we got Bo Nickal versus Rodolfo Vieira. We got Bo Nickal back. Bo Nickal on the prelims, baby. Bo Nickal was acting cocky, then he got smoked, and now he's on the prelims. So it is what it is. But anyway, let's look at the numbers in this and the stats. You look at the control rate in terms of how either guy control, like in terms of the percentage of when they're in the clinch or on the ground, the percentage of the time that they're in control. For Bo Nickal, it's 85%. For Rodolfo Vieira, it's 89%. The percent of time that they're being controlled, 6% and 4% respectively. These guys are extremely dominant grapplers, and they don't get controlled. Takedown defense for both guys is 100%. this is what this fight is going to look like. I mean, it's going to be back and forth. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be close, I will say. I give the slight edge to Nickal, though. You know, I think his wrestling pedigrees are on a higher level. Yes, Rodolfo Vieira is going to be the better grappler. You know, he's going to be more dangerous in terms of the submissions. I just think Nickal probably has enough in his tank in terms of the wrestling to be able to control Rodolfo Vieira coming off of his first... Ah, shit, I forgot to make that a loss. In terms of his last 5 fights, one of those obviously was a loss. I forget... I must have forgot to change the color on these graphics. So sorry, boys, I forgot to change the colors on these because obviously the losses aren't included. But you guys know which ones are losses and wins. So I think Nickal coming off of his first loss so far, I think it's really going to hopefully ignite something in him, hopefully spark something in him. You know, I think he's going to take this a bit more seriously. He's hopefully training a lot more intensely. You know, he's working on his striking as well too. So we know he has that wrestling base. We know he's going to look great there. I think the striking between these two is going to be pretty competitive. Vieira, you know, his striking is good. It's not great, but considering that he's a grappling guy that transitioned to MMA later on, I'd say it's better than most. So, and we've seen him have some success against decent strikers. So I think this fight's going to be competitive. This just seems like a no-brainer. Like, Nickal, I'd be very surprised if Nickal lost this fight. I mean, he's probably going to be able to do just enough to get it done on the scorecards. The UFC needs Nickal to do well. They want their star boy back in the light now. It would be hilarious if Nickal lost this fight, though. Holy shit, that would be hilarious. I don't think it's going to happen. But anyway, next up we got Baisangur Susurkaev versus Erin McConico. Yeah, these odds are absolutely insane. Baisangur Susurkaev minus 800 is nuts. These are Baisangur Susurkaev's recent fights. These are Erin McConico's recent fights. We saw against Eric Nolan, he got clipped. The funny thing about this fight too, I have 2 moments from both of them. The top one you can see, this is when Baisangur Susurkaev gets hurt and he pretends to be wobbled. And I thought he was wobbled, but then he locks back in and laughs at him. I don't know if he was faking it and just taunting him, because later on in the second round, Eric Nolan gets his knee hit and it looks real. It looked like he's in pain, but if you watch this fight back, he holds his knee and then immediately jumps back up and kind of not points, but kind of taunts him back. I don't know if either of these guys were hurt at any point. I don't know if they were actually hurt or not. They both could have been hurt. They both could have just been taunting. I have no idea. I really have no idea what to expect from this, but the first fight, he was making it competitive against Eric Nolan, who is good. I think he slept on, and I'm excited. Hopefully he does well in the UFC. I'm an Eric Nolan fan at this point, but it's just I don't know where the level of competition is at in terms of the level of skill. I don't really know. So to have Baisangur Susurkaev as a minus 800 against Erin McConico is crazy. Do I think Baisangur Susurkaev should win? Yes. Erin McConico, I mean, we saw against Nursultan Rusaboyev, he gets put out cold in the top right, as you can see in the bottom right. I think he got a robbery decision over Cody Brundage. I don't think he won that fight at all. I did have some coin on Cody Brundage in that one, so I'm naturally biased. But objectively, I feel like most people agree that Cody Brundage won that fight. So even though it's one of those where it's close enough to where Cody Brundage made it that close, you can't scream robbery. But at the same time, I do think he won. But making it that close, not the best look. So this is a weird one. I think Baisangur Susurkaev should win. This line way too wide for my liking, but Erin McConico, he's chinny. We've seen him chin in the UFC. We've seen him chin on the regional scene. Baisangur Susurkaev, yeah, he's not some knockout artist, but at the same time, he's pretty damn dangerous. He can put people out. In terms of the grappling, he's pretty well-rounded. In terms of the striking, he's pretty well-rounded. He's a pretty well-rounded guy, training with guys like Khamzat. This seems like a layup spot. This seems like they're giving him this type of a matchup for a reason. He's probably going to get the win. I'd be very surprised if he lost. But anyway, next up, we got Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Haddon. I'm super excited for this one, and I also, hate this one at the same time. I like both these guys. I don't want to see either one of them lose. I'm when they match up certain prospects against each other like this, when they're this young in their careers, I'm like, man, I hate this type of matchup. Because it's I like both these guys. I want both these guys to do well. I got to say, though, I'm a Malcolm Wellmaker fan, bro. I'm a huge Malcolm Wellmaker fan. That's my boy. I don't want to see him lose, but at the same time, I really like Cody Haddon. He's a dog out there. He's a beast. People kind of sleep on him. He's not on people's radars like Malcolm Wellmaker is, because Malcolm Wellmaker has these highlight reel knockouts, but Cody Haddon is a dog. But in terms of their recent fights, for Malcolm Wellmaker, we saw Chris Moutinho got put out. We saw Cameron Simon put out bad. In terms of Cody Haddon, now, this was the fight he had against, the one on the left is against Dan Argueta, where it was just a back-and-forth wrestling match, and on the right was against Billy Brandon in the Dana White Contender Series. So, he's looked really good. He's the only time that Cody Haddon's lost in his entire career was against Steve Ursig. So, Other than that, he's not losing. And Steve Ursak's a high-level UFC guy. So very impressive career from him so far. His only loss is against a very high-level guy. Respectable record from Cody Haddon. The one thing that people are forgetting to mention, though, I had to talk about it. The grappling is probably not going to be close. This is my only worry for Malcolm Wellmaker. That's my boy. I don't want to see him get choked out here, but it is a very real possibility. Malcolm Wellmaker is a blue belt in BJJ. Cody Haddon is a black belt. The grappling is not going to be close, and it probably won't be that competitive. If this goes to the ground, it's not going to be good. So that does worry me. I will say I'm a bit worried for the grappling aspect of this fight. Cody Haddon has a lot of submission wins, and I could definitely see him getting the submission win over Malcolm Wellmaker. So I'm worried for my boy Malcolm Wellmaker. I'm a big Malcolm Wellmaker fan. I want to see him do well. So I do have that worry for my boy. I just hate this matchup. I want both these guys to win. But I will say Cody Haddon does have good hands too. He is I put it in my notes. I don't have him up yet. He's it was one of his recent fights. They were talking about his boxing accolades. He was some like junior national champion boxer in Australia. So he has good hands. The thing though, I was watching this fight against David Arquette. The third round comes around. These guys are both a bit tired. He's walking Dan down with his hands completely by his sides. I mean, his hands are completely down. A bit of a showmanship type of a thing, but still, I worry about the defensive striking of Cody Haddon. He could try and make it a bit sweet, a bit entertaining, trying to make it fun. And I could see Malcolm Wellmaker clipping his ass. It could happen, but I feel like he's got to go into this fight knowing, yeah, I probably shouldn't fight with my hands down against Malcolm Wellmaker. Probably shouldn't do that. So who knows? This fight could go either way. I could see Malcolm Wellmaker knocking Cody Haddon's ass out cold. I could see Cody Haddon running right through Malcolm Wellmaker, landing a takedown, going to the grappling, and submitting Malcolm Wellmaker in the first round. I could see any outcome for this fight. Hopefully it's a draw. No one loses, and we can all live on happily ever after. But I feel like it's a Malcolm probably gets a knockout, or Cody, or it could go to a decision. Maybe the striking's back and forth. Because, Malcolm Wellmaker, if he's going to go for a knockout, he's going to have to land some huge shot. And against a technical guy like Cody Haddon, maybe he wants to play it a bit more safe. Maybe he doesn't want to throw some haymaker. Maybe he just wants to stick to a real like popping a jab type of a game plan where he's not really trying to overextend, because the threat of the grappling from Cody Haddon is so prevalent. It's there, you know what I mean? So I do worry about Malcolm Wellmaker and the grappling, but in terms of the pick, I thought the line for Wellmaker was going to be a bit wider, purely because of like the TikTok edits and dudes, probably the parlay boys, just throwing Malcolm Wellmaker in every single parlay. I thought he was going to be like a minus 200. I thought people were going to disrespect Cody Haddon a bit more. So I was a bit surprised to see the line this tight, but it makes sense. This is how I would line this fight. I mean, you could really even have this as a pick'em. I'd say even minus 145 Wellmaker is a bit wide. I think it's just the recent highlight reel knockouts that he's had give him that little extra edge where Cody Haddon just hasn't had that. But very competitive fight. I'm super excited for this one. I guess I'll pick Malcolm Wellmaker for now, but I think it's a pick'em. Any guy could win this. We will have to see. But anyway, next up we got Kyle Daukaus versus Gerald Meerschaert. Now this should be a Kyle Daukaus win here. But let's break these two MFers down. Now, first up, we got CTE Fearsome. I said, just kidding. Just been pretty unlucky over the recent years, and some of his fights in the UFC, they just have been pretty unlucky. He's had a bad run in some of them. We could see Kevin Holland, he gets headbutted. Against, what's his name? Eric Anders, he gets headbutted. Against Roman Dolidze, he gets headbutted. I mean, the dude's getting headbutted in every fight, so you can look at him being like, well, he's getting chinned for these reasons. Well, this was the last time Gerald Meerschaert had a damn knockout, though. Was it 2017 was the last time GM3 landed a knockout. So how do I think this fight's going to go? I think Kyle Daukaus should probably run through GM3. GM3 just doesn't have the power in his hands to really threaten a guy like Kyle Daukaus. Or who knows? Maybe GM3 comes out here and just headbutts the shit out of Kyle Daukaus, because it's like, all right, I've seen the game plan. That's how you beat him. Who knows, though? Kyle Daukaus coming back. I am putting absolutely zero weight on his knockout over Michel Pereira, too. That means absolutely nothing to me. I genuinely, all bias aside, all jokes aside, I think Michel Pereira is genuinely one of the fighters who's going to be investigated by the FBI. I mean, it's ridiculous the way this guy has performed in recent years. I'm not even joking. That's not even bitter. That's not even cope. I mean, I genuinely think Michel Pereira is going to be investigated by the feds, and he's probably going to get caught. The way that he went down by Kyle Daukaus, I watched that fight back, in slow motion. I was watching his body react to the shots. Looked a bit sus to me. I watched it back in like 0.25x speed. I was watching his reaction, his movements. I think that was a very suspect performance from his end. Never been KO'd before, and Kyle Daukaus is not knocking people out. So, very, very suspect performance. So that's why I'm not even talking about that fight, because that really doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Not to take it away from Kyle Daukaus. It's just I don't want to come into this thinking, oh, he's just a headhunter. He's going to knock out anyone. No, I think Michelle Pereira took a dive in that fight. Allegations, no proof, but I don't really put a whole lot of weight on that one. But yeah, I just think Kyle Daukaus at this point in his career, you know, back in the UFC, guys who are coming back in the UFC making their second runs, they've been on a little streak. We just saw Morales. We've seen guys like Yusuf Zalal. I mean, the guys who are making their returns to the UFC, it proves that they really want to be here. They're dying for this. They are hungry. They're dogs. They all really want to be here. GM3 at this point, he's going to be, I believe he's going to be 38 at the time of this fight. Maybe not, or just about 38. Either way, when he's pushing this age where it's just like, he's fighting for the check. I'm not saying he doesn't care or he's not trying. He's fighting to put food on the table. He's always going to go out there and give you a fun fight. And if you gas out, or if you slow down, or if you have bad grappling, he'll submit your ass. It's just, I don't think GM3 is going to want to go tit for tat and go try and die in the cage to get a little win on his record. At this point, with 37-20, he's here to be here. And I love GM3. I'm always going to love a GM3 fight. I will always watch GM3, and I'll always root for GM3. It's just at this point of his career, Kyle Daukaus is on a whole nother trajectory. Not saying he's a world beater, but he should be better than GM3 everywhere except pure grappling, and he has the grappling not to allow it to get to that point. He doesn't have the bad cardio concern that I got to worry about. The only thing is a chin problem that he could possibly still have. GM3 is not knocking anyone out. So I like Kyle Daukaus in the spot quite a bit. I think he should clearly get a win here. Maybe a knockout, maybe a late sub, possibly, maybe a decision. Who knows? I'm pretty confident Kyle Daukaus should get the win, though. But anyway, next up, we got Angela Hill versus Fatima Climb. This is one of the fights that I'm most excited to break down because we got some stuff to talk about for this one. Now, this was the fight that really kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back for me with Angela Hill to say, yeah, you know, she might be washed. Yes, at 40 years old, 40 plus, I think she's going to be damn near 41 here soon. She still looks great. She's in great shape. For 40 years old, Angela Hill is a testament to the saying, black don't crack. Angela Hill, you look amazing. Beautiful as always. However, in terms of the physical skills, in terms of her game, we are starting to see her slow down quite a bit. Her game is starting to decline. She's starting to kind of, she's on a downward trajectory. And it's only natural. It's nothing wrong with her at all. The fact that she's done this well so far in her career at this age is extremely impressive, extremely respectable. Nothing but positive to say about it. However, this fight against Lucindo is just the one that was like, you know what? Yep, it's probably time to fade Angela Hill in terms of her fights. We could see, Yasmin Lucindo is not a world beater. She's like, what, 24 years old? I mean, she's really not that, I don't want to say not that tested. She's had a lot of fights at this point. It's just not the highest level, very green, a lot of room to improve, and she dominated Angela Hill. I mean, this was a one-sided ass kicking from start to finish. I mean, first round, she's out grappling her. Second round, she's landing bombs on the feet. Second round, she's out grappling her. Third round, she's having her way on the ground. I mean, there was just no point throughout this fight where Angela Hill had an ounce of success. And I rate Fatima Klein higher than Yasmin Lucindo. This was just a one-sided ass kicking. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this fight was brutal. This was brutal. And after this fight, I was like, yeah, it's time. It's time. And ultimately, the numbers don't lie. This is the thing I was most excited to talk about for this entire fight. Now, when there is a in this fight, there is a 15-year age gap between the two ladies. We have 40 versus 25. Now, statistically, this has happened only 5 times in women's fights in the entire history of the UFC. The younger fighter has won 5 out of 5 times. But wait, there's more. Since the data was so limited, I expanded it to 12 plus years age gap instead. So this is a 15-year age gap, but there's just, the data is so limited, I said, let's just look at the numbers for the 12 plus gap instead. Which this fight's even worse than that, but 12 plus years. Across every women's fight in UFC history, there have been 17 fights with a 12 plus year age difference. The younger fighter has won 17 out of 17 times. Do we think this is going to be the first ever to break that trend? I just don't think so. I really don't think so. I like Fatima Klein quite a bit. We've seen her game tested from multiple aspects too. We already knew she was a really high-level grappler. Better grappler than Yasmin Lucinda. We already knew that. She had her entire base starting out as a grappler. Now she transitioned to MMA. Now she's striking. We were like, okay, how's your striking going to look? In her last fight against Melissa Gatto, she's a boxer. Or not Melissa Gatto. What's her, that's not her last name. What's her damn last name? Melissa Martinez. That's what it is. Melissa Martinez. Melissa Martinez is an actual boxer. Not the best, not a world beater, but that's her bread and butter. She likes to box. That's where she's good at. Fatima Klein was kicking her ass. She knocked her out. Fatima Klein looked world class, and that's the thing. 25, she's going to look better and better and better and better and better with every single fight that we see her in. When was her last fight? That was July of this year. She's only going to get even better. Now she's training full time too. She doesn't have a job anymore. She's a full-time fighter. I mean, she's fighting with girls like who's in her corner? What's her name? Erin Blanchfield. She's training with very high-level grapplers, very high-level girls like Erin Blanchfield. They're in each other's corners. If you go back and watch their fights, they're coaching each other in these fights. It's pretty sick to watch the two of them kind of. They're like SpongeBob and Patrick. I mean, they're just like Robin and Batman. They're just growing together. The two of them off into Valhalla. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. I believe Fatima Klein, the Archangel, I think she is a genuine special talent. For her age, too, 25 years old, she is looking phenomenal. The line has gotten wider. I still don't care. I played her. I like Fatima Klein quite a bit. I think this is a very high confidence pick. From what I've seen, this is my type of pick, too. I love this type of a pick because you look at it, it's like I watched through the tape study. I was super high on Fatima Klein. Not even looking at the numbers, not even looking at the data. I was super high on Fatima Klein. Then you got the numbers to back it up. Fatima Klein, lock. Lock it in. Fatima Klein will win. Next up, we got Chepe Mariscal versus Pat Sabatini. Now, this is a very interesting one. You know, I've gone back and forth on this one. I'm super torn. I think the odds being about pick'em is pretty damn accurate because it's going to go one of two ways. But we'll talk about that. First, Chepe Mariscal, recent fights versus Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson was having some success against the cage grappling early on. It was going back and forth. They were at some moments it was going back and forth though. At this point, you can see in the second round, Chepe Mariscal was able to have some success of his own in the grappling. It was going back and forth, pretty competitive. Third round comes around, Chepe Mariscal is throwing him around like it's nothing. I will say though, in that fight, Chepe did come in like 5 pounds overweight, so that is something to point out. Excuse me, that is something to notice, make note of, I guess. He did come in extremely overweight, so that is like a little dig to him there, but. Against Morgan Charrier, a lot of people were very mad about this fight. Everyone thought that Chepe lost this fight, even though he won. I believe it was a split decision. But yeah, people were very upset about this one. You can see second round, Morgan Charrier was having a lot of success in the grappling. He was looking really well. He was controlling Mariscal throughout this fight in the grappling. And what's his name? Morgan Charrier is known as a kickboxer. He's not known as a grappler. So to see him really work Chepe Mariscal in the grappling. Bit of a red flag, definitely a bit of a concern for me. You can see in the third round, Morgan Charrier is looking like Marab out there. I mean, the way he was dominating in the grappling, very, very impressive over a guy like Chepe Mariscal, who's pretty damn good. I rate Chepe pretty highly, but to see Morgan Charrier having this level of success in the grappling is a pretty big concern now that he's fighting a guy like Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini is a former Division I wrestler, very high-level BJJ black belt, and he's going to be a problem for Chepe Mariscal. Now, in his recent fights, Joe Anderson Brito, that's how this fight went. He had like 14 minutes of control time, absolutely dominated in the grappling. I thought Joe Anderson Brito was going to knock him out. So I was wrong on this pick for sure because he went out there and controlled him for damn near the entire fight. So Pat Sabatini dominated in this one. Next up, Diego Lopez. He does have chin problems though. We could see Diego Lopez. This was the interesting part though too. It wasn't like Diego Lopez knocked his ass out from range. No, this was a scramble. You know, this was a grappling exchange. They were going back and forth. All it takes is one shot, and they're going back up to the feet. They're trying to get back up. Diego Lopez hits him with an uppercut. Then Diego Lopez hits him with an overhand. Oh, I thought I had a picture of him out cold, but you can fill in the blank. Yeah, no, Diego Lopez put his ass out cold. It was over from there, but it just goes to show it's not like he just has to land some bomb from range. I mean, Pat Sabatini's chin is pretty dust if you hit him anywhere at any moment. Now, Diego Lopez hits hard as shit, but it doesn't take a whole lot to put Pat Sabatini out. Now, this is the fight that really worries me and has always been like this thorn in the back of my mind, or I don't know. You get what I'm saying. It's always been a thought in the back of my mind. this fight about Pat Sabatini in a bad way. Now, against Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson basically knocks his ass out in the first round. He's landing some ground and pound shots. Pat Sabatini, I think on Tapology, I don't know, what do they say? Let me see what they say in terms of the UFC stats. I think they count it, it's a knockout, but if you go back and look in terms of how they classify it, what do they say? They call it a KO by punches. They say punches to head from back control. If you go back and watch this fight, Pat Sabatini verbally taps from strikes on the ground. Not a good look. As a grappler too, you thought maybe he verbally taps. He totally quits out there. He gave up. He said, no more. I don't want any more of this. And this was 1 minute into the fight. He quits 1 minute into the fight. So ever since then, I just can't really pick Pat Sabatini unless he's going against a guy he can just easily exploit in the grappling. I thought Joe Anderson Brito was going to be able to touch the chin eventually. Never ended up happening, but we've seen Pat Sabatini quit out there before. And I get it. I mean, like, save your brain, brother. I'm not saying take an ass kicking for no reason, but that's just not a common thing. Seeing guys verbally tap to strikes on the ground like this in the first minute of the fight. Not a good look. That's always been something that's like bothered me about Pat Sabatini. It's prevented me from picking him. But in terms of the two of these guys, I'm leaning Chepe Mariscal ever so slightly, but I might pick flip to Pat Sabatini. I'm not going to lie. I won't be surprised if Pat Sabatini gets clipped at some point, gets knocked out. That will not surprise me at all. But on the other hand, we've seen Chepe Mariscal get out-grappled by a guy like Morgan Charrier. I think Pat Sabatini is a high enough level grappler to do the exact same thing. I think this line being about dead even makes a ton of sense. I know Pat Sabatini is actually, I know this is flipped. Pat Sabatini is now the favorite ever so slightly. I think he's like a minus 130, minus 140. Makes sense to me. I get why people might be on him because they've seen Morgan Charrier do the same thing. People are pissed off that he won that fight because they thought Chepe should have lost there. So I get why people might be on Pat Sabatini. It's just the chin problems that really concern me. The fact that he quit in a minute, verbally tapping, not a good look either. So I have my concerns with Pat Sabatini, although he's a very high-level grappler. So this is a close fight. I guess Chepe for now, but yeah, not too confident in either guy. But that does it for the full card breakdown, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like the video, please leave a comment. Please drop a like. Subscribe to your boy. Help me out with the algorithm. This video took a ton of time to put into work. All the work had to go in for this one. Took a ton of time into this, so I really appreciate it if you guys drop a comment. It helps a ton with the algorithm. Really helps grow the channel quite a bit. So thank you guys so much for all the love on the videos. Hopefully this isn't getting too long here. I know it's probably going to be at least an hour-long video. I don't even know where we're at right now. It's going to be very long, but hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found some value. I was trying to make this one a really big, deep dive for UFC 322. This is probably the biggest card of the entire year, so I wanted to go all out with this full card breakdown to give you guys everything you need to make your picks and make your bets this week. So thank you guys once again for all the love in the videos. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found some value. I'm going to be back later this week with the locks and traps, weigh-in, recaps, best bet. You guys know the deal. We'll be back with banger videos, so subscribe for those. Make sure you stay tuned for those. And in the meantime, it's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and I'm out, so peace.